So the Donald Trump clown show continues.
So, what's going on today?
Well, as you know, he's threatening that 50% tariff on Europe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about this today. The easiest way to think about Trump is that he's like this frustrated old man who can't, do it anymore.
But isn't it other people, other countries more frustrated? He's like old man doing, do that. If you don't do that, I'm gonna screw you. He's the one messing around. Who's more frustrated?
Okay, and the other thing I like, sometimes people don't realize that these are human beings. So Trump's like 72 years old, this old grandpa who can't do it anymore. And you guys know what I'm talking about.
But he still loves money.
Yeah, he
Like
does.
Scroogey.
And sometimes, the people who are fans of him say, well, but Chris, you're so dumb. He's a good businessman, these kind of things. Well, show me the deals. Show me the money, right? And just to give you an example, if you guys saw my last video, so Trump is basically threatening the 50% tariffs, and Europe is like, don't threaten us. That was literally in the statement, like it doesn't work. And the Europe and actually China kind of said the similar thing as well. They refer to mutual respect.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump's like not respecting other people, like disrespecting. And so how does that work in business when the other side is not respecting you, right? Like how do you do business with someone like that?
So, poor people who work with, the Trump is, we say, you poop everywhere. Someone needs to clean up,
Oh, right.
His job is pooping everywhere, making mess. But there is someone who needs to actually clean up that, right?
Well, here's a good way to talk about it. And it was funny because you bring up the poop thing. Someone wrote in the comments, because Besant, who's our treasury guy, right? The argument that Besant was making was that, okay, the math doesn't work. So they acknowledge that. Math meaning, the money coming in is far less than the money going out, basically, right? The math doesn't work on the budget. And so he said, okay, the way you think about it is like a house. I borrow money for the house, and if the house value goes up, then therefore that was a good borrowing, effectively, right?
But price going down.
Yeah, so someone made a comment on how do you get your value of your house to go up when Trump is spreading poop all over it? I was like, that's a great way they use a more offensive word, but you get my point, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because just talking about this, using an analogy, because I want to continue thinking about it, is that, think of it this way. If you take out a loan to fix your house, I don't know, you're going to get new cabinets, or what else could you do? Repaint the inside, right? These kind of things. That could theoretically raise the value of your home. Or, sometimes people decorate it really, really well. But in the Trump situation, you could spend a whole heck of a bunch of money and you just like paint everything gold, a gold toilet, and I don't know, you have gold washing machine, etc. Like, and it's like really tacky. The word we use, tacky. Oh, sorry, word to say. How to define tacky? Do you know this word, tacky? Yeah, like there's some things you can't sell because it doesn't matter. Even though if you borrowed the money to raise money, and in your mind you think that, oh, I did a really good job remodeling, and like the buyer comes in and is like,
for example, like there is a Ferrari, but the regular people, they imagine like black, red, white. But what if, they just painted like Coca-Cola, like painted words, McDonald's symbol everywhere, It looks cool, but no one's going to buy it.
Yeah, and a true story, Koreans do remodel their apartments like all the time. And sometimes you'll see some, like, because it's for sale, and the price will be like really, really high. Like, people do this, and you're just like, no. And it'll be on the market for like a really long time. And then sometimes people, and it's not just Koreans, to be fair, it could be anywhere in the world. You're gonna have to take a loss if you want to sell it. And then in the Jordan situation, we were talking about Jordan fixing his house. He just like, no, that's what it's worth. So he's not forced to sell. Now the difference is, or not difference, not the word. What if you borrowed the money?
Yeah.
Right? And so then you're like underwater, you need to sell it, and then you're kind of screwed. So that's where we are. Let's read some comments from you guys also. I just thought the house thing was like, because I'm not against borrowing money necessarily, because it can work. Yeah. But if you're borrowing money, and again, doing it wrong, no good. Okay, someone's right. This is Evolve. Evolve says, nobody is knocking on Trump's door for trade deals. They're all sitting around eating popcorn and watching the collapse of an empire under the rule of a 6x bankrupted clown. Now, that's pretty good. People do mention that how it's like it is a show. I mean, to be fair to Trump, it is a TV show. I mean, what do you think? Are other countries around?
It's a TV show, but it's affect your life a lot.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
affect not a good way, it's bad way.
Unfortunately,
that's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can't avoid dealing with Trump because we're talking about the old frustrated man. You got to find someone to clean around the poop, right? Here's another comment. This is from the Silk. The Silk says, "As a German, I will tell you that I will protest my government if we break ranks with EU. We will not go alone with USA." So that's actually a really interesting comment. So basically, Trump is frustrated. This was the kind of reported from the insiders. He's frustrated how the EU is constructed, that every country wants their own thing that each country wants, and there's no like necessarily one person that can just make a deal for everyone. Because anything that you negotiate, you got to go back and talk to each country individually and
that's why it's EU.
Yeah.
That's why made EU just get together stronger.
Sure. Because like these days, and for those of you who are in Europe, and we're in Europe now, there's something really cool about being here, that there's multiple cultures, multiple countries, and because there can be more than one culture in a single country, right? Multiple languages, and if you develop ways to where, hey, we can exchange workers, because like workers will cross borders, right? Exchange goods, all these things, then we're better off with trade. Because some countries might be better at making some goods, and others are better at making others, and you literally trade, right? And so, one of the things I thought was interesting, if you guys followed the Airbus situation, actually, Yeji's friend's husband, I think he's French, and they live in Germany. We actually talked about Airbus. Do you remember what he was saying about that?
I remember.
So one it was, he was saying like Airbus is the pride of Europe, because it's like one of the companies that's like really spanks the Americans. Like, so I mean, Boeing's just not that great these days. This is, be honest, you guys know this. I know America's like, okay, I have to admit it's true. we all kind of know. And they said specifically he said specifically in the Airbus situation, where like there are different parts of the planes built in different countries, right? So then everyone's kind of involved in that. And I think there could be more models for that for the EU. And essentially, Trump is bringing the EU closer together. So that's why when the guy said, Germany's not going to go along, what's that?
When your enemy is strong, our allies get more tight.
Yeah. No, true. Okay, here's another one. This is when I comment, and this person says, the Brexiters of the UK are totally frustrated with the EU for 9 years too, and the EU is not blinking. The EU is one of the hardest trade negotiators because the priority is the protect the single market. The coughing guy can talk directly to Germany, France, or the Pope, right? But it doesn't help them because trade is handled by the EU Commission and EU Parliament, which is not ruled by millionaires or billionaires. So I think it's really fascinating to hear that different perspective, right, on that. And talk to the Pope, right? So actually, true story. The vice president, I think they were hanging out in the Vatican, and I think Trump might have sent a couple people there to try to make better relations with that. I mean, the Pope is American now, but I don't know if that's necessarily going to help, or if that's going to get an inside deal. The thing is that Trump from a TV show perspective, or being from like the CEO perspective, because Elon Musk had the same sort of like frustration, is that you can't go in and just order people around in politics. It's not the same as company.
Yeah, so
right?
They're basically, thinking that you can buy everything.
Yeah. Or buy a person, etc.
Yeah, include the human person. They think they can just pay. You do what I want.
Right, and and then the problem is like when he's talking about, we're going to get good deals, you're making relationships to where someone has to win and lose. And I was thinking about this. So like say in just a relationship, and you guys all have relationships, like, do you think about treating your friends in that way, to like, I'm going to beat my friends, and your friends are still going to like you? So let's say you're what's that?
I treat every dinner, every lunch.
Oh, that's a good example. You
You have to like me, right? If you don't, I'm gonna screw you.
Yeah, that's a great example. And actually, true story. This was actually something we talked about just yesterday. How say when Koreans meet, who pays usually for the meal?
In Korea, usually like elder,
Right,
you know,
right.
person, you know, treats younger. But I'm not sure these days young
If young people want to do that culture
yeah,
anymore.
but these days I'm not sure.
Yeah, because that culture is, it's interesting. When I asked the agent, I said like, well, isn't that kind of too much pressure on the older people these days? But then you said that, well, then in relationship one, the older
It's
person,
going down.
yeah, the older person
Yeah.
pays for the younger, and then the next relationship, then this person
Yeah.
has their younger pay,
yeah,
or sorry, they pay then for their younger, and then it just kind of goes down. But and it's a and if other countries in so let's use Europe example. If countries in Europe do that as well, where the older person always pays, please let me know. I thought that was just kind of an interesting one. I know we're getting on a tangent here, but it's fun to talk about this stuff. Here's another comment. This is from not DJT, so no Donald Trump. Basent is a horrible liar. I'm surprised they keep sending him out to make the rounds. Because like, if this guy's so bad at effectively lying, like why is he on TV all the time?
Because he's the only one.
Yeah.
You know, he's the only one. Other people say, no, big
Yeah.
one. I don't want to lie on public. You know,
No, because
he's just already started, so just let him just keep doing it.
so the bets are who's gonna quit first, and I want to hear from you guys in the comments who you think is gonna quit first. So I'll just give you some of the front runners, okay? So one could be the Basent guy, so the coughing guy. It could be the drunk guy. That's the Hegseth dude, right?
Yeah.
Secretary of Defense. Another could be Carolyn Levitt. So how would you describe her? We'll just call her the really angry woman, right? She's like really angry all the time. You know, how dare you talk to and like actually the funny thing about her is her personality is like, how dare you question me? You know that person, but like literally her job is to answer people's questions. So it's like it doesn't really quite match. Or you could argue maybe Marco Rubio would be another one that would quit. So if he's our Secretary of State. He ran for president, and whenever you run for president against Trump, and then that would have been, I guess, the 2016. If we get my dates correct, you correct me if my dates am I wrong? I get confused because I'm getting old, guys. But Trump would always basically give names to other people. So I think it was Lying Ted was one. That was for Ted Cruz, and then for Marco Rubio, I want to say it was Little Marco, I think is what he called you. So Little Marco, it's people would describe him when they first was chosen, was that among all of Trump's people, he was at least seemed the most normal. Right? I'm not saying necessarily that that's everyone's favorite, but in comparison, it's like, hey, he at least seems fairly.
Sure, he's not good, but he's at least
normal. Yeah, but lately he's been kind of going along with this stuff. And when you look at his face during the meetings, so for example, it was a cabinet meeting, and you have to go around and everyone kiss up to Trump, and he started just like playing with his pen and like folding paper.
Doing again.
Yeah.
2 hours gonna do that again.
He was doing that stuff because it's the most hilarious thing. We have cameras everywhere 24/7, right? Yeah. It was that kind of stuff. It was that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Fingernail.
It was because you can't hide forever your true feelings on stuff, because just imagine you got this crappy boss and you got a crap relationship and you have to like smile and pretend that he's awesome. It's hard to do 24/7, right? So that kind of stuff is what I've said to you guys before, is to where I know a lot of these people are likely taking stuff, or they're seeing a counselor, or they're having marital problems for all we know. Like they come home and like have fights with their spouse and their kids, because you do need outlets.
Yeah.
Or if they have no problems, then these people are all psychopaths. And that is a possibility as well. So that's my thoughts on this stuff. I want to hear yours, and we'll catch you on the next video. So bye.